been really tremendous. So let's move on to our next slide. And why is balance so important? There are two really important hormones that everyone has, male or female, and those are testosterone and its alter ego cortisol. So even though everyone has both, women make approximately 10 times less testosterone than a man. To add insult to injury, after the age of 30, an imbalance happens at approximately 1% a year where testosterone is continuing to go down and cortisol is continuing to go up. So what we find in that low testosterone, high cortisone imbalance are emotional changes like anxiety or being depressed, elevated fatigue, low sex drive, a reduction in metabolism, weak bones, even elevated cholesterol. And these are things that we just simply think, well, I'm getting older, this happens to everyone. But it doesn't have to be that way, I'm telling you guys. A line that I love telling or using with people is, I was tired of feeling and looking my age. I found my own little fountain of youth. Can you imagine feeling like a teenager with the freedom and spending power of an adult? Can we say trouble? And, you know, people just kind of laugh and they say, yeah, I wish I had the energy when I was a teenager. And that leads you to another opening of what you're doing and how you're feeling. And these are the openings where you get to tell your story or your product experience. Our next slide, what a difference a day makes. And it really is a huge difference. Some people are feeling the difference in one day. They're getting improved, noticeable changes in a week and amazingly outstanding achievements or results in 2 weeks. So when you balance your testosterone and your cortisol, what happens? You have an improved mood, a heightened sense of well-being, mental and physical energy levels are going through the roof, you sleep better, lean body mass, decline in fat mass, reduced cholesterol levels. This next tagline or soundbite is describing the way I feel, and I'm thinking, judging from Facebook, Twitter, and all the con calls, is how everyone else is feeling. I sleep like a baby. I have the energy of a teenager, but the mental clarity of an adult. Man, I feel great. And who don't you know that would love to be able to experience all those things again? You know, when someone gets a really good night's sleep, boy, they go on and on about it. Could you imagine being able to sleep that well every single night? Life-changing. Our next slide is the search. These are all, I would say, very important things to point out. Leading the charge, we have our Dr. Sean Talbot. His credentials speak for themselves. Do your own research. He's really simple to find. It's SeanTalbot.com. The man has 5 degrees and 6 different affiliations. He's published 8 books that have been translated into 10 different languages. He's been published in peer-review journals. He's a very, very accomplished man, other than being passionate about what he does. He created our tremendous product. The other products that he has created or the awareness that he's brought to the population in general about cortisol stand on their own. Vigor. People are going to ask you, well, what is this Vigor? This is a Vigor category product. Vigor is the measure of physical energy, mental acuity, and emotional well-being. And it can be measured by a profile of mood states test. So this is very scientific, very accepted in the scientific community. Our formulation was geared toward improving mood states and metabolic parameters in stress subjects. Our goal was to improve metabolism and mood, only using 4 natural ingredients. I am really impressed with Dr. Talbot. I think after your own research you will be also. So in this instance, if you know someone who is very well versed in health and wellness and they go to GNC and Vitamin Shop, it'd be really easy to say something like, remember the cortisol rage? Found all that stuff in the vitamin shops about Corta Slim and Corta this and Corta that. Well, the guy who started all that created a Vigor product, and it's amazing. It's all natural. It's even vegan. And bonus for me, I've lost X amount of inches around my middle, whatever's appropriate for you. I know people that have lost between 1 and 6 inches around their middle. And don't you think that when that happens, they're jumping up and down and want to tell everyone about it. For our next slide, what did we find? He took a test group of 50 healthy stress subjects. It means they're not being diagnosed or treated for anxiety or depression. They're just really busy, maxed out people. After 8 weeks, the cortisol to testosterone ratio had actually improved 15%. Subjective stress, that's how someone feels, their stress levels are, they reported a 14% improvement. But here's the really, really amazing thing is that in their profile of mood states, they saw a 22% improvement. Now, this is really important because that would be the equivalent to a pharmaceutical treatment such as Prozac, Zoloft, Celexa, and or a cognitive behavioral stress management session. That's like deep psychotherapy. So people are getting the same results without having to expose themselves to the toxicity of pharmaceuticals or the price tag and the time spent in one of those deep therapy sessions. People were less tired, less stressed, less depressed, and with no caffeine added. These products, or this product, for every 2 capsules only has 2 milligrams of caffeine. That's very, very little. There is a transient adaptation phase. Now, I like to call it the detox period, but, you know, Dr. Talbot uses a very scientific term. You know, that's going to be individual to each person. It doesn't happen to everyone. But because this is a flexible use product, you can still see benefits. If you're experiencing this adaptation phase, you can go down to 1 a day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, 2, and then skip a day, whatever works for you until you can push through that phase. But next, calling it a flexible use product is really great because on a normal stress day, you can take 2 in the morning. That's just kind of your regular routine. But if you feel that you're in a very high stress situation, all of us will face these. I predict the usage will go up tremendously during the holidays or any other of those stressful times in your life. You can take up to 4 a day. You could take up to 6 a day. After 6, though, they really don't see any difference or additional benefits after 6, and most people definitely don't require 6. 2 is the average. So a really great line for this is to highlight the lack of added caffeine. People drink caffeine and then they get the caffeine crash. Even if they acclimate to the caffeine jitters, they get the caffeine crash. So I would say I found a product that gives me energy with practically no caffeine. I mean, less than 1 bite of a Hershey's chocolate bar. Bye-bye Red Bull. And Red Bull is pretty pricey these days. And in case no one's noticed, I was actually noticing in a store that I was in that they're, you know, $3 to $4 a can. That's just depending on the size of the can that you get. So let's do the math. A Starbucks coffee will run you about the same. Let's say, you know, with tax and 50 cents in the tip jar, it's $4 a trip to Starbucks. Well, if you're making that trip 30 days out of the month, that's $120. Our product is wholesaling for less than half of that. The next slide is just a little peek at our future. On the right are those little green vegan capsules that I was talking about. It's really exciting because there are no excipients and no extra fillers. That's why they're so nice and tiny. And that green is not from food coloring, guys. That is from chlorophyll. I mean, how innovative can Zango get? We have another category, creating product, the Vigor category, and they don't even have to use food coloring, which is an accepted practice even in baking. They use chlorophyll. I'm just so impressed with the company. So what's our cost of feeling good? Hopefully everyone knows what our price